So today's topic is we are going to do chapter 17, Shraddha Traya Vibhagyo, Yoga through discerning the three divisions of faith. So this is we are getting into the almost last chapter, because after 17 is the last chapter, is the 18th chapter. Very interestingly, the Krishna talk about this topic, about Shraddha, about the faith, which is the most important actually all the way around. And very simply, how he explain about this topic in that we can apply into our day-to-day life, that we need to aware and understand. He don't talk about a very deep understanding about Shraddha or what is Shraddha and how you apply and how to grow and all this, but he used this. We are all doing that. We are all having a faith, but how our faith is getting changing, how we are not stabilizing, and what is the essence, what is the key functions, what are the area that we get diluted, that he explained very simplicity. So this overall, this chapter is very simple, but it is very important and tricky to apply in our day-to-day life, because if you see, this is the most practical uh, chapter you can apply in day-to-day life. And again, when you talk about Shraddha, that the faith is the first ingredients of going further in Bhakti Yoga. So let's see what is Krishna is trying to explain. So before we will just do a recap what we learn in the chapter 16, because there is a continuation questions is there. So chapter 16, we talk about the Deva and Asura, the discerning of the divine and the demonic nature about this human body. And we say that being good itself is a reward. So we discuss about the 26 virtue, about the saintly nature, how we should have this. These are all the qualities, these are all the virtues we should have in order to become a deva, or in order to become a good person, or that we should have that all this so-called the virtues in day-to-day life. Same time he talk about the 6 traits, that is possess the demonic nature: hypocrisy, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, ignorance. So we have to be aware about this, and we need to stay away from this. So this is also we need to work on it in day-to-day life. How divine qualities will take you to the liberations, and the demonic qualities will take you to that destiny of this, again, of the samsara. So we will come again in this cycle of birth and death. So that way, and most people, when we see, they need to develop a bhakti. So using the proper bhakti practice and success in the practice, then we can slowly will reduce the eliminating this demonic nature of this our body. Then we also talk about Krishna talk about the 3 gates that is leading to the hell, or the self-destruction of the soul. So we talk about the lust, anger, and the greed. So these are the foundations, or these are the 3 gates that is creating the disturbance in our body, and we need to stay away. And so we all have this 3, by the way. So we need to work very hard to get away from this or reduce it ASAP. Then we can further we can grow in our spiritual path. So faster we can make the changes, we can grow the faster. And this is the also say the gateway of hell, self-destruction. So how to be free? So finally Krishna says that prayers and Shreya. So prayer is the one you feel immediately, instantly you feel good, but at the end it will become very bitter, or you don't like it. And sometimes the Shreya is initially it will be unpleasant, but the more at the end is the fruit or the result is sweet, or it is more fruitful. So we need to choose the Shreya. It's a similar like if you want to work hard, you want to get a good rank in the study, you need to work hard. So you initially may not like it to study hard, but the result is good. But if you don't work hard and you don't study, and then you fail in examination. So this is how the prayer and Shreya is the good example. So our mind, our gunas, it is connected to the prayers. We always like instant gratifications. So we try to look at the immediate solutions, prayers, what is important and what is give me the happiness. So then we work towards that. We don't see the end at the end, what will happen. So we need to choose that Shreya part of it. So that's what Krishna says. Now this chapter 70, it is again, as we discussed, that it's very interesting topic about the faith, Shraddha, and how this Shraddha can play a big role in the Bhakti Yoga. And in fact, it's an essential tool. And he put it very nicely, although it's a small chapter and very simple chapter to understand, but putting a different perspective in our day-to-day life, we can add and we can observe this and we can learn from this. So it says, choosing the right over the pleasant, it's a sign of the power. So we need to choose the pleasant rather than the right. So at the end, if you notice, the Krishna was talking about you do this Deva and Asura, all this according to the Vidhi and Nished, according to the scriptures. So based on that, Arjuna asked the questions to the Krishna at the very first end. He says, where do they stand, those who disregard the injunction of the scriptures, or those who don't believe in the scriptures? What about them? What happens to them? They have a faith of worship. And if their faith, what kind of faith is this? Is it goodness, passion, or ignorance? That means he talk about is their faith is rajas, sattva, or tamas. So Arjuna asked very interesting question, because some people may not believe in the scripture or may not believe in all these things. So I don't believe all these things happen. So how they stand? So Krishna says very interesting answer. Krishna says, every human being born with the innate faith, first of all. That is, you cannot say that, oh, I don't have faith. Anyone has a faith. Is only the criteria or the characteristics of the faith is different. Now, this faith can be a sattvic, rajasic, or tamasic. So this is where Krishna says, now you hear more about from me. How the faith can be sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. So in that sense, Krishna will talk again about gunas in a very detailed way and with a different perspective. We have seen one of the dedicated chapter about gunas, how the gunas is taken over our body and mind, and then we possessed our soul and not allowing that soul to go beyond this bondage. So now here is the same thing he's talking about with the faith, and how these gunas can play a big role in a different ways, different perspective. So I can say that he's emphasizing gunas again in this chapter in a different perspective. So let's see what he's saying. So Krishna says that I don't believe that anyone can, that sometimes people say that, oh, I don't believe in God because I can't see him. But not necessary. A lot of things in life we don't see, we don't feel, or we don't see the air, but you can feel it. So, or sometimes you don't see that earth is moving or earth is rotating, but still there is something is going on. When you are in a plane, the speed, they are showing that, okay, 500 miles per hour or 600 miles per hour, but we don't realize that how fast the plane is going. So again, we try to, that doesn't mean that we don't have a faith, but somehow, maybe that sentence, you don't want to see the way as it is. You may have a different perspective, or you may have a different a way of looking at it, but still, in whichever way you talk about it, we have a faith. Even those who say that I don't believe in authenticity, I don't believe in ancient scriptures, is all written or based on the culture or religion or whatever it is, then a lot of people don't accept it. That I don't believe that Krishna is there, or I don't believe there is some person. There are a lot of debate and all these things going on. is there Mahabharata really happens, or Ramayana that it happens, or this Patanjali really wrote these sutras or not, whatever it is. So, and some people say, I just accept the modern science or the theories, what is believed. So still he has a faith in modern science. So here the point is, it is Krishna is not telling that you have to believe in scriptures or you don't have to believe in the scriptures. He don't talk about that. Very interestingly, we need to understand that the faith, everyone has a faith, but the quality of the faith will generate through their gunas. Okay. So let's see. So he explained very detailed one by one. So faith, again, Krishna says in the chapter, start the second verse. So all human confirm the nature of their mind. And we are all possessed by this gunas and by this mind. So whatever we do it, whatever our faith is coming in, whatever our application is coming, that is based on the gunas, or our quality of our faith will decide the direction of our life. How your faith, you are developing the faith. That is where your direction of your life will be decided. So, and what is the quality of your faith deciding? So directed by the nature of the mind. So guna is the one who is creating the quality of your faith. And once you have a quality of the faith is created and decided, then your life will be directed accordingly. So this is where the guna play a big role again. Because how you are developing the shraddha, how you are developing the faith, it is based on the gunas, based on your rajas, sattva, tamas, and then accordingly we will develop a direction in our life. Either it can be material, it can be a money making. I think generally we see when we have money, we look for the material world. Then we need money. Once we have enough money or more money, let's say you hit the $1 billion, then you are not satisfied with money. Then you are looking for the fame. Once you become famous, then also you look for the power. That's why you see some of the actor, actresses, or famous person. Once they become famous, they want to go into a political power, or they want to go into that contest elections or whatever. They want to, somehow they need to have a power or control or run the country or whatever. So this is a cycle, it is unending. Now this is where your rajasic mindset coming in, or the passion and then growth will coming in, and then those are the people. There are some people who just work the single value or single thought in the whole life. The best example again can think of immediately is Mahatma Gandhi. Simple virtue like non-violence and peace. How can someone can imagine without having any violence or without anything to go against the Britishers, he can give India as an independence? So that is the noble values. So he can make this sattvic mindset that will develop into the faith, the trust, the confidence on that non-violence movement he started. This is impossible. Those days people say he's stupid. He doesn't have that. How you can get and you want to fight the whole British Empire without any, and this is not tried-tested formula, by the way. But the same quality, the small quality, unknown quality, no one has experimented that non-violence before as a form of fighting, as a form of non-cooperation. So he started with the non-cooperation movement and do torture, whatever they want to do it, do it. But I want to stick with my noble values. I want to stick with my gunas. I want to stick with my faith. So here the faith was very, very powerful. Can you imagine that he has had so many, I don't know, maybe 100 times or more than 100 times he went to the jail and tortured, and did so many times he did a fast just to stick with that solid faith or shraddha that develop, and he is believing that he can make the success, and that his change of his direction, not only his change his direction, but it changed the country direction as well. And then finally India got independence. So this is where we need to think as a sattvic person. If you want to grow in our spiritual path, yes, we do have money, fame, and all. That is very easy. That is everyone is doing, and you can get it and achieve it. But what about the value that we need to develop? It can be small thing. It can be anything. It can be try and tested. It may not try and tested values. But if we don't, if we have that quality of faith, then it will happen. We can make it happen. So that is the power of sattvic quality shraddha that can change our life, that can help in our spiritual path as well. To develop the deep faith, we need to develop tremendous patience, tremendous uh, tapa. That is where the Krishna is explaining the austerity and abhyasa, the practice. So once we are experiencing that, then automatically you will see the importance of the God realization. That you then you know automatically. Then automatically the renunciation will start about from the material life, and you want to search for it because your faith, your quality, or your direction is changing. So it is very naturally you incline with that. You don't like the certain things. So again, Krishna explained about the gunas here. So we are already discussed gunas, so I don't want to go more into this. But tamogunas, we know that tamogunas, we like drawn towards the ghost spirit, and despite of all the cruel nature, we are still want to being in that. We need to enjoy that laziness, the letharginess. Rajasic part, they are all drawn to the yakshas. They call semi-celestial beings. They have a power, wealth, and they want to enjoy like rakshasas. And then like the powerful being that embodying in the sensual enjoyment, revenge, worth. So this is typical. Our today's life is all about rajasic. We want to be ambitious. We want to become uh, attitude. We need to develop this. We need to enjoy our senses. All this. We like to have a food. We like to have all this holiday. We have a favorite place. We have a favorite food. We have a favorite T-shirt, and enjoying into family life, and then maybe all this. So a lot of we are indulging ourselves into so-called the name of enjoyment or name of happiness. We are still caught into this, and something happens. We may take revenge. We get angry. We may take have that jealousy, hatred. All this is coming in because of this rajasic nature of the mind. Sattva guna is all attracted to the worship to the celestial God, to whom we preserve the quality of the goodness. So finally, we need to develop that quality, and then we need to go ahead from there. So, however, we worship the perfectly the directed when it is offered to the God. So once we start in going to the sattva guna side, automatically we are going towards what the divine has to talk about. Divine has to show us. It is automatically will climb. Now, Krishna talk about this very interestingly, that faith is visible when the people perform the severe austerities, but they are lacking of proper knowledge. So sometimes you see this is tapasarya, the tapa. Remember the tapa is the yama niyamas. So niyamas is the tapa, austerity. So some people is practicing every day. They are very focused about their practices, and they can achieve. They can stand on the headstand or the maybe one leg and do a tree pose for hours and hours and with closed eyes and doing this. But sometimes they don't have that knowledge why they are doing it. What is the purpose? Or maybe any kind of other austerity, or maybe fasting, or it can be going to the mountain, or maybe just walking towards whatever it is. So this is where majority time, if they don't have a real knowledge, or there is no a guidance of the guru, then it will very easily it can become a hypocrisy as well as the egoism. So you will develop that, oh, I can do that, no one can do it, or I am the best. So, and slowly we like to show off. So that's the hypocrisy will start developing this. Krishna says this is very dangerous. People do possess the deep conviction and efficacy in that practice, but the faith of in this mode is ignorance. So once you start practicing of pranayama or asanas or mudra, even meditation, you will love it, because the experience, because the more you sincere, you start practicing, then you will develop the more conviction about, yes, I'm doing a good practice. So that's where it is very easy to fall in the trap of slowly you see that I'm developing more, and I'm specializing this, or I'm getting the benefit and this and that. So your practice is slowly the faith is going towards more mode of ignorance, or ignorance ignorance in that sense that we don't know again that what is the ultimate goal. How what I'm experiencing is the byproduct of the practice, is nothing to do, I don't need to relate with the practice. The desire and the attachment we will develop. That's why some of the people, they already so much attached with their body or certain postures or certain pranayama or certain meditation, they like to talk about as much as possible. They don't follow the other practices, they don't accept other practices, and for them is, this is the best, I have achieved it, and you will get the best part of it. So that's why the subtle ignorance are there. And there is a desire also to know more about, and there is a desire to spread this also. We need to be aware about that, this practice, there is ignorance here. And in a contrary, other people will abuse their body, physical torture and disrespect. So in order to, they want to achieve, they are keep practicing, and in that practicing they may be not taking care of the physical body, and they are not giving the respect to the body. So ultimately, understand that your supreme soul is within your body. So you are actually torturing the soul. You're torturing the body elements. You are torturing the 5 elements of the body. So this is where you are going. You may, and some of the class I have already discussed that the future is already started, by the way. But you will see in sooner or later, a lot of people has more issues, health issues, or bodily issues, or mental issues, due to practice of wrong yoga, wrong meditation, and wrong pranayama, because everyone like to collect. People want to know more. Okay, show me, show me. But have we digest what we learn? So many meditation practices we learn, so many pranayama we learn, but have we mastered to slow down the breath without doing anything? So many things we haven't mastered yet, and then we need to become a collector. And in that collector, sometimes we disrespect our body. The growth of the body is not that great. The growth, we are not accepting the body as a easily as a natural process. It has to be grow organically. You cannot justify that, oh, I want to achieve this by within 1 month, I have to be master in pranayama, or I need to do this posture or whatever. So this is why sometimes we go little bit advanced or little bit aggressive, and we disturb our body, and finally it may torture. And then you are torturing who? You are torturing the supreme soul. So this is where we need to be aware. And all these things, Krishna says, is all recommendation is given into the scriptures, how to go about it. And a contrary and recommended path is developed. That's why we have a bhakti yoga, we have a raj yoga, we have a gnana yoga. So all these different yogas, we need to know when to change the gear. When you are driving the car, you know the first gear or second gear, you know when to do a reverse car, when you do need to go to the top gear. You cannot just change anyhow the gear. So this is the knowledge is very important. So when to change the practice, how long you can practice the postures, how long, once you feel the postures, when you need to do the transition of the pranayama, when you need to do the transition of the meditation, when you need to transition of the kriya, or need to do a change of the so-called the practices, or you need to go more in about the bhakti yoga. So this is where you need a guidance of the guru, you need a guidance of the scriptures, and we have the systematic approach and grow organically rather than to rush. Again, enjoyment of this is very important without torturing the body. We cannot become impatient, but nowadays everyone wants instant. So instant gratification, instant enlightenment, instant uh, kundalini awakening. So this is where the issue is coming in. So go with the flow is the best. Now Krishna talk very interesting topic. You will be surprised. Guess what? He talk about the food. So he says the food can make a big difference in the person's according to this what he's taking it. The same time is very true for he talk about the three things that he later he described very interestingly: sacrifice, the yajna, austerity, the tapa, and dana, the charity. So he focuses these three things, how the three things can change the shraddha, how these three things directly related with our mindset, and how these three things can change by the food. So let's see. So he said, by eating the pure food, your mind become pure. Simple. Or people with the pure mind, they prefer the pure food. So we have to decide basically what is we need to do it. What you are intaking the food, you will become like this ultimately. So he is talking about this. Not only that, now he's explaining different how the impact of the food is called of the gunas. Uh, those who already done the Ayurveda course with me, we are already discussed this part. The same thing he's explaining in a very three verses systematic way. So how this sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic food can affect and impact our mind. So the sattvic food will give you the calmness and composed mindset, peace and harmony in our body. It will generate that tranquility in our mind and emotions. Rajasic mind will create a more speed, energy, and the enthusiasm in our body. Similarly, the tamasic food, the lethargy and stagnancy will create it. Now, he go more further and let's talk about that. What are the food you can categorize or classify it as a sattvic food? So he said the persons of the mode of the goodness, those who person who are eating the sattvic food, you will develop a more sudhan and purity and knowledge mindset. Your lifespan will be increased, your virtue, the strength, the health, happiness, satisfaction, everything will be increased. The food has to be juicy, nourishing, and then naturally tasteful. We should not have in that food, you should have a artificial ingredients. So nowadays we say that okay, so basically the pure food or the fresh food is nothing but the sattvic food. Now again, the fresh food, we need to understand what is the definition of the fresh, because nowadays we are living in this export import industries. So wherever you are in, you can immediately, you can, without the season, we will have the food from the different country, and they know how to preserve it without 1 year, 6 months, more than that, including all the meat and everything whatever we eat. Basically they know how to preserve, genetically changing, and or the maybe adding the chemicals and preservative and all this. So we need to be very aware the fresh food, and fresh food will be developing and giving us more goodness in our body, happiness and satisfaction. You literally feel the satisfied. So the food, this food, the sattvic food described as ayu sattva, that is really the longevity. It will give us a longevity, virtue and happiness and satisfaction. This food can be a very mild, very tasteful, very beneficial to the body and mind. All the grains, pulses, beans, fruits, vegetables, milk products, and any simple vegetarian food is considered a sattvic food. Or you want to put it a simple fresh food, you can put it in that also. That's why you see when you see the majority of good yogi as a practitioner, their food intake is very less, and they eat lot of time. Some people eat in India, they call falahari. That falahari means they eat only fruits, but that fruit not they go and buy supermarket. The majority, the ashram, they grow it. Maybe it can be a banana, it can be a whatever the fruit is available in that region. So they generally use that homegrown fruits. Not only that, vegetables or plantation, they do it and everything. So generally this is a very common and standard practice in some of the famous ashram. They have their own garden and their own organic garden and fruits. So they consume even the the cow or buffalo, whatever, so is there, so then they use the milk and everything, so they no need to buy outside. So that's the whole purpose. So some people are already, if you see the, as I said, the type of the yogis, they just eat fruits. There are some, they eat only dugdahari. That means they only drink milk, nothing else, fresh milk, the whole life. And some of them, they don't eat grains. That means they eat only vegetables only, or maybe a rice or khichdi, or maybe there are again some people has their own basically rules they have developed, that I will eat khichdi, rest no other gains, no beans or nothing. I will just eat maybe a lentils and rice, khichdi and the vegetables. That's it, and fruits and milk. They don't eat any wheat or chapati or any kind of bread. So there are different peoples and different yogis, but again, even sattvic food also they will change according to their uh, tapasarya or whatever they want to achieve in the spiritual sadhana. But overall for us, it is Krishna's thing that whenever we eat fresh, that is, you know that it is a fresh coming from your own garden or the own farm, or nearby farmers market or whatever, then it will give you the purity, peace, happiness in that food. You will literally, you eat little bit, it's maybe a juicy, no artificial sugar or anything, it will be, you will feel that satisfaction. Now once you food, you buy it and everything, now we eat more about the taste. So that is where the too bitter or sour or salty or very hot, we add a chili or garlic or pungent taste, and we make it more for the taste. And that's where you are adding more mode of the passion. That is where you're becoming a more rajasic food, because that is where it will start creating, producing the pain and the grief and the anger in the body. And these are the food will eventually will disturb our emotions, our health, and agitations will start. So if you see nowadays, no matter what we eat, we there will be some sort of the spices or the taste will be there. So majority of us, you can say that we are eating the more, in a way, rajasic food. So that's why we have a very common jealousy, hatred, eagerness, or impulsiveness and agitations and anger. All this easily we will develop. And if you are cooking at home also, but when you're buying the ingredients from the outside, so again it's the same thing, because we don't, nowadays they are genetically changes, or we don't know the source of the origin, maybe that is a preserve. So all this play a big role. So we need to know, that's why the, if you really want to pursue this, we need to know the food part and the cooking part, and all that is play a big role. So again, we need to eat to live rather than to live to eat, some people. So whatever, however we need to eat, we need to be adjustable, rather than or look for the, some people sometimes they can look for certain food only, they cannot change their food habits. If they are eating certain cuisines or anything, I know few people, and I know some of the gurus also. We work with it. Even Manojji, sometimes when we go, when he don't find Indian food, then only he will be satisfied. Otherwise, sometimes we need to go look for the late night and find it. But not always you will get it. You may need to eat any food also. So again, you need to see what kind of country you are in, what kind of area you are in. We need to change. Some of the my friend also were very, like, they like certain food, pasta or maybe a noodle, so they just look for that, but not necessary that we need to aware about it. So again, the point is why we are eating. What is the purpose? So we need to be just aware. And finally, the overcooked food, the food that is in a rajasic mode, the mode of ignorance, or the putrefied or the impure food, that is generally nowadays very few people is eating this kind of food, unless you really living in a different poverty, and then you don't have that money or the area, or you are just you have a difficulty to buy that food. But in our days also, in our body also, the supermarket is playing the big role here, or whatever we buy it, that even though we are not like overcooked or whatever, that worse food we are eating, but when we go and ready to eat food we are eating, when we don't have time, we use a quick cooked, using the microwave oven or something, or some kind of electronic gadget. The cooking methodology has changed. There is no fire nowadays. All the stove is all we become sophisticated. So no charcoal, no fire, no actual fire. The hot plate is not there now. Electric fire. So then there is a heat. So the heat is changing. The quality of food is changing. Quality of heat is changing. The preparation process is changing, and the vessels also changing. No more copper. No more mud clay pot. So we become a more stainless steel or maybe a more sophisticated vessels. So we need to again, our lifestyle has become very fast. So the cooking methodology also become very fast. The ingredients also become very fast. The utensils also become different. So we try and so this is way nowadays you can call it the mode of ignorance food, and that is where then the taste is different, and then it will create a more lot of chemicals or impurity in our meat. And in meat also, if you are eating a meat, we don't know the meat is coming from where and which animal, how they cut it, and we don't know how they torture before they cut it, and how the life before that. So it's very difficult. If you are living in the country or the state, you have to eat meat. But as long as you go and like fishing in front of you, or you know that this is a fresh market, then still is better. It's like a rajasic fish, or a sattvic fish. You can say that, something like. Then we don't know that, and we have a packed food, and then how they torture, how they kill, and all this. Although we have like a organic certificate and everything, but it can be changed. So we don't know how we are consuming the food. So basically, these gunas play a big role, and we are what we eat. So that we are changing, and we are grabbing that energy of the food. No matter vegetarian, non-vegetarian, we eat. You see the big difference. You just eat outside for a particular restaurant, or change restaurant, or every week you go to 2-3 times to eat outside. You see how the body will feel. We don't know how they are using the oil and everything in restaurant, or even if so because they want to cut the cost, so they will play around a lot of things. So these are the area we are majority aware, and we are putting a lot of effort to eat healthy. But we are just thinking as an absence of disease. But we need to aware that how the food is, even the home cooked food also can be we are changing the rajasic point when we use the taste. So we need to go beyond the taste. So that is what about the food that is in tamasic food. Now Krishna now start explaining these three gunas in this three: sacrifice, austerity, and charity, yajna, tapa, and dana. How these three we should do it, and how the people is doing based on their gunas, they will develop the shraddha. So technically, we all behave and we all develop the shraddha based on our gunas. And whichever gunas is up and down in that particular time, we will do the sacrifice accordingly, we will do the austerity also accordingly, and we will do charity also accordingly. So he put it very simplified. So that's why this is very eye-opening for us, because when we do, we don't realize that why we are doing and what is the influences there. So now it is very easy. He's identified that this is how you are influenced by the sattvic gunas or tamasic gunas or the rajasic gunas. So he talked about the yajna first, the sacrifice. Now we are sacrificing. You are now sacrificing your time. Maybe you have to go somewhere else. Then you are sitting down. So you are sacrificing your time to listen this. Or you can be anywhere. You may be in an important work or whatever, but you are sacrificing in a way. You are putting that time. So yajna you perform. Maybe you are reading the scriptures, or you are going in certain areas. So every time we are doing sacrifice, smaller or bigger ways, in terms of time, in terms of money, in terms of achieving this. So this is where Krishna says, if that is sacrifice or yajna is anything performed according to as directed by the scriptures, then, and without any expectation, the rewards can be anything, then it is a nature of goodness. And you should have a firm conviction that I'm doing for the humanity. I don't have any other agenda, and the duty is coming from the heart for the humanity. In India, Last time as a child, I was very curious that why people do this public yagya. Yagya is like fire ceremony. They do it because generally my mom used to tell me, okay, maybe you go and participate. Sometimes, that she don't want to cook also. I said, they will give you the food, nice prasad and all these things. So I say, you go and eat and you participate and you bring me also this. So she's always, and in my town, small town, always certain days, there is always a public yagya used to do it. So anyone can join. There's like no invitation is given. And then I was thinking about why they are doing. Is there any show off or whatever? Or that as a child, I don't understand. But then later I realized they are doing a very amazing job. You will be surprised that sometimes there is a lot of, then when you do yagya or havan or the fire ceremony, there is so many priests are there and there is a proper follow and according to the scriptures is there. The ingredients is very meticulously planned. So very nicely they decorate and fire ceremony and then chanting is happening. Amazing environment. So they are doing actually a lot of things in a way of environmental control, pollution cleaning, and then they are developing the awareness of to, 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 to do a dana or you do a human services in a name of those who cannot afford the food and everything. So they are giving. So they are creating like a expo or like a club or it's like a event those days so that everyone can participate and they do whatever their social service in terms of money, in terms of sacrifice, in terms of time. They cook for some time, they donate for the clothes, they do whatever, they depend on the yagya's objective. So that way they are doing for the goodness for the humanity. There is no expectation, there is no agenda, and there is no plan. Anyone can come in, you don't come, there is no that you have to give money or you have to plan or whatever, nothing. So anyone can join in. You just riding the bike and then you see, oh, I want to go, then you just park the bike side and then you can just go and participate that way also. So that's the real Krishna says is the nature of goodness. Now again in this also Krishna explained about there are the three types of yagyas. It says afala akanksha bihi. That means there is no expectation of the reward. So when you do any particular yagya or fire ceremony, you are just doing for sake of doing it for the humanity and for the nature and to according to the scriptures. There are then it is become more sattvic yagya. And second one is of the nidhi dristah. That means according to the you follow the scriptures and then you will have the very strict guideline and then you follow each and every whatever you can follow you can do that. This is yagya that's called the vididristaha. And the third one is called about yathastham vyam ivaiti. That means only you are doing a worship or the yagya to just shake off doing it, or in a pure way whatever the scriptures required you need to do it, but your worship you are doing it. So that is also the third way we can do in a more when you do about the sacrifice yagya in a more sattvic part, you can do that these three ways. Then he talk about a rajasic yagya. Krishna talk about the first type of the sattvic yagya, that ideally basically you should not have any objective or hidden agenda to do it. Then that's where, and your objective is maybe the humanity and you don't have any personal gain about it. Second, the next verse he talk about sacrifice performed for the material benefit, or you want to just show off that, oh, I am doing it to for the people or for the benefit of the all these things, or you have your own peace and harmony. Generally people buy a new house, so housewarming ceremony, or when you have a marriage. So all these certain things also in relation with our own personal success, or whenever you think that there is long time you never done any kind of yagya or sacrifice, so you need to do puja in your house. So these are the ways you are inviting a people, or you are finding a occasion, or you are finding a reason to get together. and oh, we never done it long time. Now our son is already graduated, or we have moved to this house, and then we have now business established, something like that. So you find, so there is a hidden agenda. We need to show off and material benefit that. So these are the yajna. When we do it, a fire ceremony or this sacrifice, we do it, it is considered a rajasic shake of it. So when you are doing, whenever you think about what will I get in return in terms of maybe a blessings, in a maybe of in terms of name or in terms of fame, so it's more in a rajasic nature. And the third one is, you have, basically you don't have a faith on, and you don't bother the scriptures, you don't bother the rituals, you don't bother the rules and regulations. You just do it. You don't chant authentically, you don't do any mantras, you just, and you don't do donation also, you just do it, because every yajna is followed by the dana. It is very important. Every sacrifice will go with the, after yajna you have to do a charity. So that's how the scriptures says that. So charity to the Brahmin, or charity to the person is like a services. The what, whoever participated, you give them money or you donate money, or in terms of any donation. So that is what it is important. Sometimes we have this. Uh, Generally, whenever we do this kind of uh, sacrifice, or the yajna, we those Brahmin or the priest who come to do this, although we give him a fees, that is called dakshina. We will give him a fees, but along the apart from the gift fees, in a monetary form, we also give sometimes donate, maybe a clothing, or maybe some, those days some people, if depend on their financial condition, some people give the cow also, some people give some kind of nowadays some people give gadget also, so depend. So but we need to aware and understand that you are giving more than the his services, or more than his doing it. So it's more like a donation, you are giving it for the sake of doing it. So that is also coming in, but in that, ignorance is there. So you have that, you don't follow all these rules, and then you do it. Yajna is just you are doing, and you need to do it the sake of it. That's where you are going, more tamasic side of sacrifice, you can say that. And you disregard the religious ceremony, you don't know when to do it, and you just anyhow you just do it without any invitation and the right day and right time and all this. Then it's considered more mode of ignorance. Furthermore, so after this yajna and sacrifice, Krishna talk about the austerity part of it, tapa. So he talk about, again, the tapa can be a three types. How the rajasic people do tapa, how the sattvic people do tapa, and how they do tamasic people. So those who are worship in the Lord, the Brahmins, the spiritual master, the wise, the elders, and the knowledgeable person who observe the cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, non-violence. This is where they are declared as a austerity in their body. So the austerity can be in the body part. So he talk about there are three ways you can do austerity. One is the body, second is the mind, speech, and the third is the mind. So how you do with the body? So those who are doing, like non-violence or celibacy or brahmachari, so brahmachari, they don't marry, they don't perform the sex. So you are like using the body element, that you are doing a tapaha, you are doing austerity, or you follow the non-violence, or you follow the yama. Niyama is very strongly, you will follow the niyama. So you take any virtue and then you follow using the body. It can be, sometimes some people is just holding one hand, right hand, because I want to just put it this way, or indirectly they are torturing the body also. But it sometimes they are doing for the good, or they are doing for that tapa side of it, to enjoy, or sometimes short term they do a fasting. So all these things, anything they do related with the body, to go to the higher level and purifying the mind and body, that is the only way we can say that ultimately we need to reach the higher level of the yoga. Any yoga you take, you need to have that austerity, you need to have tapa. Now it can be a body, it can be a mind, it can be a speech. If you do not have this austerity, we cannot be succeed, we cannot be understanding this. So The purity is very important. Secondly, those who are practicing sincerely austerity in a day-to-day life, that human being can be uplifted, then the transformation you can see from the normal to the human divine, easily you can go there. And you do it austerity, you don't need to show off. Sometimes people do only eating one time, for example, or they don't eat, they eat only lunch, but and they don't eat dinner. But a lot of people, they like to show off. Oh, I'm not eating daily, and then I'm just practicing, and I'm doing it. So there are a lot of things they are doing with their body, but they are showing off. So there, that is where we are going into more rajasic side of it. So we need to, if you are performing any kind of austerity as per the spiritual guidance, you have to keep quiet, and then you have to do, just follow it. You don't need to be show off. You don't need to be, your intention has to be pure to go to that higher spiritual level. That's why we need a guidance also, sometimes guru or the master and the scriptures, that how we need to be aware. Otherwise, these are the things, once you get start the benefit, then you will become like a show off, or you attach with that, and then you want to do, play around with that body more. So we need this to aware about it. And similarly, when your body is dedicated to that service, the pure and saintly things, then all the senses will indulges into that general, and sexual indulgence will be a, particularly when we see nowadays, that also acclaim as the austerity in the body. So whenever anything sexual pleasure, all this or the sensual pleasure we are looking for, it is a part of this body austerity. So we need to, perform this austerity is very important in the body, in a some way or other way. We need to have a discipline. For the simple, let's say you start with, I want to sit down across leg for 1 hour. We can start, this is also start as a simple austerity, where that, so that it will help you to develop your own postures. Or slowly you can develop, okay, I want to develop a lotus postures and austerity. So we can start developing that austerity in the body slowly. Or you can take that, I want to clean inside, or I want to practice yoga, or I want to do a non-violence. So any topic you can choose in the body side, and you can perform the austerity. Second one is the austerity in the speech. This is very important nowadays. So we need to speak. Again, you will see it's very similar to the, it's a part of the niyama itself, but we are going very deeper into a niyama and how the gunas is connecting. So speech, we need to speak truthful, pleasant, and beneficial to the listener. Very important. We don't need to talk rubbish. We don't need to talk a lot. Less is more. To the point, and the person can understand and happy. If you say a lot of things, but a person is aware, is not happy about your tone, or about your content, what you are saying, or you are doing insulting, or your tone is not good, then it is not right. So here the austerity, in that sense, we need to practice the, how the, including the, how the chanting of the mantra. Some people chant a mantra in such a way, in public event, or maybe teachings or anything, then it is creating a disturbance to the other listener, singing or talking loudly, or behaving this. So speech is very, not only about the tone, but the content also very important. We, and also we like to show off also sometimes, in that speaking sometimes the truth, we don't, we harm the others, we disturb the others. Immediately we say the things we should not say. For example, like generally nowadays people want to look good, especially the girls nowadays, they like to become slim, and then you want to look more presentable. And suddenly, if let's say if some lady is very fat, and then you said, oh, you are very fat, that's why you want to, why don't you do yoga? So so how we can judge like fat, and so maybe you are saying the truth, but it may not be pleasing for the, she don't want to hear that. She's definitely aware of about her body, but she don't want to hear about it. Now similarly, we don't speak the truth in a more injurious manner to the others. We need to be very aware that it may be, some people has that habit that you talk something here and then to something here. So the way you gossip such a way that people may fight each other, or you are creating a so-called, we say that you are creating, adding a poison to that mind and talk about negativity, or I don't know why the Prasant is talking about this and this and like something. So then you will developing a negativity about third person. So this is where you are creating a disturbance in someone's mind, or you are playing around. It may be a truth, it may be not a truth. So whatever it is, so that is why Krishna says we need to be aware what we are speaking. So the best way is Maun Vrat. We should know how to keep quiet and speak untruth. Obviously, it is no need to do it. It's not. It may be pleasant, but no need to say this, because sometimes that doesn't mean that we should say, oh, now you are looking good. As usual, there is a joke, like people say, like, if any wife asking husband how I look whenever you want to go party and everything, or how this dress is going up, so husband always say, oh yeah, it's good, looking good. You don't dare to say that, oh, maybe this dress is not good for you, or whatever it is, or you look very different, or maybe obese in this particular dress. But to make a please to her wife, he may say no, or he just say lies. But this is how it is nowadays. If you say truth also, he may be not offended. So we need to very aware. So the idea here Krishna talk about is, whatever we speak, try not to harm the people. Similarly, the person should be a more pleasant, whatever we are talking. So we need to increase the quality of the content what we speak. Less, we need to speak less and say more, communicate more. Say, talk less and communicate more if possible, and try to do as pleasant as we can. So that's what the austerity of the speech required. It's not easy, especially nowadays. Everyone wants to talk. Now this, we can go further more, because when nowadays we are talking more than we speak. We are talking on the media, we are talking on the social media. So we need to be also aware about that speech. And everyone have the smartphone, so everyone talk about the posting about the video and everything, and everyone wants to talk more about themselves. So speech also creating. So that's why knowingly unknowingly this is become a very difficult for us. So we need to work on that. And this is where the eternal path of the morality we need to experience and we need to follow is a dharma. So what is the right dharma? And that's only we need to speak. If someone asks you, then only you speak. Very important. Otherwise, you no need to give unsolicited advice. So if the person has hunger, genuine interest, they will ask you, then you talk about. Sometimes we need to be aware that otherwise we are creating and disturbing the someone. They may not be pleasant by you what you're talking about. So Krishna says that first is the body austerity, and then second austerity is the speech we need to follow. The third one is very important, is the mind. He says, so our mind has to be very gentle, very silent, self-control, pure. You should not have any anxiety, depression, negative thoughts, anger, jealousy, hatred. So that is why we need to clean the mind. We need to purify the mind. And this is where it is the most difficult, or you can say the best and higher level of austerity of the better than the body and speech. So that's why we classically we say that watch your thoughts, it become your words. Watch your words, it become your actions. Your actions become your habits. Your habits become your character, and then your character become your destiny. So this is how we need to be aware about the thoughts. And this is why we are practicing yoga. Master the modifications of the mind. So if we don't have the mastery over the mind, we don't have the austerity of the mind, we don't have the control over the mind, then whatever we do, we are become a slave. And so Krishna talk about the real austerity is the mind. So once you develop that strong mind and willpower, the mind, that will help you to develop this gentleness, that awareness, that purity. This will be the foundation of whatever we are doing. So basically he talk about, again, now once he explaining this three, he talk about that when the the person, the threefold austerity, if your material rewards, you don't have any uh, intention of material rewards, you are just doing for the goodness of the humanity, then although any body, mind and speech austerity you are doing, but your objective is just you are doing for sake of doing for the for the humanity, then you are doing a sattvic, you are doing a mode of godness. If we have any sake of gaining honor or the respect, you are doing the austerity because you want to say something and then you know that they will give me a respect. If I say good about, sometimes you see that very very funny, but it is we all experience in our maybe a companies, or when you invited into talk, so then I said, oh, thank you very much, because of you you give me the opportunity. So you talk good about the person and then person will talk good about you, so you are like exchanging. Oh, because of her only I become a yoga instructor and blah blah blah. If you don't teach me, oh, Prashant is a very good student. And also teacher and student also, like, they are praising each other. So this is where you are like doing a sake of gaining respect indirectly. That is nothing but a rajasic passion, it's a rajasic austerity. We need to be aware. We need to, this can be stay, it won't stay longer. It can be a disappear after some time. So we no need to do it. But this is how the corporate world, this is how the show off that, oh, if I say immediately said, oh, sorry, or we say thank you. So when we doing this, thanks anyone, and immediately we try to do like a settle our accounts. Immediately you need to do respect, you need to do a settlement. So we need to be aware. So that is where the sattvic rajasic austerity Krishna says. And then you do a tamasic, that you whatever austerity you are doing for your own benefit first of all, and you are disturbing others. So you may be, let's say you are practicing some kind of postures and you want to chanting om, om, om 100 times, and then you are disturbing the neighbor and you are disturbing the other people. And even though they are like complaining, but you don't listen. So you are ignorant because you want to achieve yourself in a higher level, and then you are confused with that your own the notions, and you don't listen to anyone. So this is where Krishna says that you are going into. So even though you can achieve the success in austerity, maybe the mind, maybe a body, or maybe in this speech, but you are again dominated by this ignorance, by this tamasic. So understand, he's keep talking about how these gunas is affecting and dominating our mindset, whatever we do it, austerity or this yajna, and austerity also the body or mind or the speech. Now, furthermore, he explained about charity. The last is talk about the dana, the charity part of it. Majority nowadays, we are doing charity in a form of time, in a form of cooking, in a form of skill, in a form of money. Talk about this is we are more or less aware about it. But Krishna give a little bit more dimension here. We need to do charity with the worthy person. The person has to be worthy, and we should not have anything in return. Obviously, you just do it for sake of doing it, to literally genuine help for the humanity. Not that, oh, I like this person, or I like or I like this organization, I like this person, I like this country. No. And the worthy person who really need proper time, proper so-called the time and place is very important. That's where Krishna says that we need to do. And if we are doing in a proper right time and right place with the worthy people, that is coming a sattvic charity. And that will develop a more sattva in our body. Sometimes we are doing and we have a expectation in return. Oh, I'm doing it, but so you have to do in return. So in a corporate world, in a relationship also, like give and take. Although you are giving, but other people, you are not expecting the money or whatever, but you are expecting some kind of services, some kind of favor. So this is where we are. It's like, and we are living in that society that these are the become a norms. That's why I certain things even in India also, in a major cities is become like habit. to say sorry and say thank you, and then it become more agitating thing. I remember in my town, certain times we don't have this in written. So you don't need to do this. You don't need to show off. You don't need to say thank you. You don't need to do this. You are doing because you like it. This period. So if I come and eat in your house, that doesn't mean that I are also inviting you. Nowadays it's like give and take thing. So many time, I remember I first time I came year 2000 in Singapore, and then I used to work in my company, and I always was after 7 o'clock I used to just do some overtime work and everything. So my neighbor company, they have that, you know uh, the network problem. They have issues on the printer and then connection of the computers and all. So in my free time I used to they sometimes ask, okay, if can you help me. So yeah, so after office hour we just go, and then we try to help how the printer is not working, or computer is not connected networkly properly or something. And so it's just a normal help, and just fixing and everything come back. And then next day she said, oh Prasan, I want to take you buy for you lunch. I said, for what? So this understanding, I don't get that understanding, because of you ask help, I give you help, and now you want to buy a lunch for me. So what is that? So this is where the people is like, oh, I don't want your indirect way, or oh, I don't want your obligations. There is no obligation. If I have to do it, if I have that skill, I can fix it. If I don't have that, I said no. Simple as that. So people, we are the more developed cities and developed country we are living in, we become more like the trader of relationship, trader of things. That if I do it, it must written, we need to do it. Otherwise, how it look like? So that's where it become more socially standard also, and then that's where we majority our dealings, our charity is happening due to the dana, and in the more rajasic side. And finally, if you don't know when to do, how to do it, and to whom to do it, that means you are doing already a uh, ignorant. You are doing a tamasic charity. You don't know when to give, how to give. Some people is very blind. Oh, I'll give you money, you do it, but they're just doing it, just fake of doing it. There is no genuine interest. There is no that, oh, you do it, where you are going, where you are charity do it can be a money, it can be a anything. You need to do it. So this is what we need to be aware. Then if you are not doing any respect, or why you are doing it, and you are not showing the right time and right place, that means you are doing a tamasic charity, or the dana. So finally Krishna says, so he talk about this yagya, sacrifice. He talk about the austerity, he talk about the charity, dana. So this has to be also governed by these gunas. So if you notice, you need to aware, as I said earlier in this chapter, this is a lot of practical things we are doing nowadays. But ultimately we will driven by these gunas. No matter if you do sacrifice, now sacrifice of you sacrifice at night and you cook for your husband, or you do it. So there is somehow we have that connection about the rajas, sattva, or tamas, or austerity, or the charity. So that's what Krishna says, that ultimately we need to have a rajasic ignorance to need to go rajasic, and rajasic to go to sattvic, so that we will go to the higher level of divinity, and we go beyond this maya. We don't go beyond these things. How to do this? Then he explained the word very interestingly in the last 5 verse. He talked about Om Tat Sat. So he said that using this symbolic representation of the truth that is the beginning of the creation, and came from the scriptures and sacrifice, this word. So he did explain about these 3 words in a way that we need to use it whenever you do this kind of things. So he said that he talk about Om. So whenever we perform any kind of sacrifice or charity or something, so you said according to yogas, you chanting the Om, and then he explained about very little bit, but we know all about Om. So he talk about exactly that Om according to the scriptures. So Om is like a more predominant sound, and it has a direct relationship with the mantras, and it's a seed mantras. So any auspicious austerity or the sacrifice, or if you do any kind of charity, you chant Om, or you say Om, or when you chant a mantra with the Om. So this is where he's talk about the more how to do it. So indirectly, so Om, he explained about it. And the second word, the Tat. So he said Tat is you don't have any desire to have a fruitful rewards. And that is where it is as it is. You need to accept it, and you need to do it along with the austerity, sacrifice, and charity, so that we can go beyond the sattva, beyond we go beyond the gunas. And he glorifies the vibration of the tat. So he refers to that the tat is nothing but a Brahman sound. And he said the chanting tat also, it will be take you that austerity, sacrifice, and charity to the higher level of it, and not to be performed in material device. And this will finally, we will chant along with the Om, then realization will happen easily. And Sat, finally he used Om Tat Sat. So Sat is truth or eternal existence. So he talked about, oh Arjun, you need to understand the Sat, because everything is a Sat. So how to use Sat in a sacrifice, penance, charity? We need to understand that Sat. You are doing for what? Doing for whom? Not for me, not for you, not for this body, not for this mind, for this universe, for this formless Brahman. This is where he talk about the Sat. And Sat is nothing but the goodness in virtue. Sat is also talk about auspicious performance. Whenever you do sacrifice, whenever you do yajna, whenever you do the austerity or charity. So it's described as a Sat. That's why we always say, and eternal truth also exists. Whatever you see, beginning also Sat, and also Sat. And maintenance also Sat. So Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh is nothing but the Sat. There is no end, there is no beginning. He also said about, so that's why we said Om Tat Sat, or Sat Chit Anand, or Sat Sri, or Sat Nam. So whenever you see all this, there is a Sat is there. So Sat is the truest one. So Krishna talk about this Om Tat Sat will help you to chant whenever you do these three things. So if you're doing chanting and you are utilizing, it will help you to realize that you are doing for not for your sake, for the humanity, and go beyond these gunas. You go beyond this mind. That's what he's talk about. And if you don't have a faith, if you don't have a, you just do it without any gunas and all these things, then you are doing asat. That means you are already, you are useless to use this word and there is no place for this world as well as the coming birth. So basically, he tried to say that whatever we're doing in a day-to-day life, we are observed, we are mesmerized, we are hypnotized by the gunas, and the gunas, whatever we do, austerity, we do charity, we do a tapascharya, and influence of these gunas. We eat food, also we influence with the gunas. So this is also subtle way or another way he tried. Remember in the gunas chapter, we said you go beyond the gunas. So now based on these gunas, we are developing the faith. So the Shraddha you are developing. So here that is the subtle thing. He never talk about the Shraddha. He just talk about the gunas, because based on your gunas, you will develop the Shraddha, you will develop the faith. Faith you will develop for your yoga practice, faith you develop for your son, faith you develop for your husband, faith you develop for your spirituality, faith you will develop for your own breath, own divine. So this is where it is getting very subtle, that he talk about that if you want to grow higher level, you need to understand the Shraddha, you need to understand the faith, because faith is the first ingredients of Bhakti Yoga. And then once you have a faith, then only the love will come. And without love, there is no devotion. And there is no devotion, then we no need to talk about. So we need to be aware. And then in order to get the faith, we need to master the gunas. And we need to have that gunas properly, and the more we need to operate for the sattva side. So this is what he's talk about. And if we don't follow that, and we are doing asat, basically. So once faith, you will see that it should not be the own impressions in the mind, because now you realize that sometimes we think this is, oh, I have a faith in you, or I have a shraddha in the teachings and everything, but we need to minutely understand. And sometimes we don't have that, so that's why we need a scriptures, we need a help of the guru to identify, to discuss, to contemplate, or to discuss about the issues or the questions answered, or the community we need to develop. So these are the things we, other people can see easily and different way, rather than what we, because we may be caught into our own gunas. So that's where we need to be aware. So this is the essence of this so-called 17th chapter. And this is how we develop the shraddha, or the faith, based on the gunas and the dominations of these gunas. So do you have any questions for this?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Maybe you discussed, but I know I came in late. What do you think about you know how you told us once how your Dr. Nagendra had hurt his knee, and he decided he was going to meditate and send, you know, I guess all his healing energy to his knee, and he made himself feel better after a certain amount of time. What do you think about that with regards to food? With regards to the food that we eat, that, you know, we don't know the source, and we don't know this, and we don't know that. Can we use our prana, because it's not all inside of us? You've taught us it's also outside. If we're sending it to the food that we eat, and not just thanking God for it, but boosting it, you know, with no matter what it has, can we fix it, heal it, make it better for us to eat?
I, I I won't expect this question, but yeah, it is a very common questions, and I love this question. Why? This is what we talk about the end of the Ayurveda course. So technically, we want to enjoy all the food, but we don't get affected. This is the question you are asking. We want to enjoy all the tasty foods, but we should have some kind of power so that we don't get affected, or we channelize this negative energy into positivity. Am I right?
I mean, I'm not saying like, you know, a chocolate cake. I mean, I'm saying
No, by the way, you
a
can do it.
veg,
By the way,
yeah,
you can do it. It's
or
a good news.
yeah, anything, I mean, it could be the glass of wine, you know,
Yeah.
that the alcohol not toxify my body.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
answer is yes, we can do it, but it requires tremendous practice. We need to become Agori. Remember Agori? We are all Agori. Even yesterday, I was eating in Manoj's house, and then left over dal or something that the maid wants to throw. I said, "No, give me. I'm Agori. You give me. Don't throw it. We still have a luxury." So again, yeah. So true. We need to develop. So sometimes I'm not saying that but I have experiment lot in this. That's why I'm telling of my experience, because I eat, as I said, I was when in Miami, you know how we are eating, right? You see how we cooked also. The moment I go to the Canada, my friends were excess chili, excess garlic, everything excess. Now I cannot say that you put less or no, but I can change my settings somewhere else and not get affected. And the more she wants to feed, you will be surprised. In my 5 years, I never eat all these items, including the so-called the outside or inside or whatever. I have had everything there. You will be surprised. So, but there is a love also. They want to feed me also. So I cannot say no also, and I cannot say yes also. But we need to develop some kind of settings here. Again, the guna play a big role. That's why generally it is we need a lot of experiment, we need to do it, because we are living in a very sophisticated society, and every day our life is become very simple life. Okay, you go office or you take care of this. We never learn hardship. We never sacrifice certain things. We never eat uh, 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 wrong food or wrong so-called this. We need to change behavior. You know, I used to give example, just pour a lentils in the floor and then lick it. Simple. Start the immune system that way. But we become very sophisticated. So we need to develop, break our own mindset. Then you can develop. But yes, answer is you can become, technically is we need to become a guru. So then, and we need to do it, by the way, right now, because not every time you get the healthy food. And no matter what we do, if you are not living in that country or something, you cannot cook. In Singapore, nothing you can find anything. Everything is import and export. So indirectly, we are eating a poison. You do like it or not. So we rather wants to immune such a way. We need to go high level of the mind and energize the food. We need to learn the chanting of mantra. We need to learn the positivity of that. We need to the intake of the food, the methodology of eating, and the right time of the eating. This is where is important. So the now you to put it in another perspective, what we eat, it doesn't make a difference. How we eat and when we eat, I think we change that also, we can change a lot of, we can fix it. So I think we need to work on that. Any other question?
Thank you.
It's related. Hello.
Yeah.
It's related this conversation.
Uh-huh.
I went to Vedanta Society in Japan, and I
Uh-huh.
had lunch with Swamiji, and
Okay.
he's eating because he's from Calcutta, no, but where the Ramakrishna came.
Yeah.
So,
Calcutta, yeah.
yeah, and then he said he was eating fish, and also using a microwave. Because someone cooking for him, so leave the food for a couple of days,
Yes.
and then his disciple heating up for him every day in the microwave. So I asked Swamiji, why do you eat meat? Why do you eat fish? And he said his answer was that why not? Because Ramakrishna or also the Buddha used to eat fish, and it doesn't affect any spirituality. So that was his answer. So and then I was a bit confused. That is, it's ahimsa, killing, and also using the microwave. But he's following all his spiritualities.
Yeah. No, the thing is, it is not only following the spirituality, but how not affected in our body, in our mind. The similar classic example is Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya, one time he was traveling in India, and when they want to pass by, he and his disciple, they are going back, and they are so thirsty, tremendous thirsty, and they pass by one of the liquor shop. So there is no way. They have to drink liquor, like a natural made, So that the disciple also drink, and Shankaracharya also drink. And then because initially that guy doesn't want to drink, but Shankaracharya says, okay, give me, I want to drink it. So he drink almost like a 1 or 2 glass. So by seeing him, this guy also said, okay, give me 1 more glass, no problem. So now after some time, this guy cannot take it, he cannot handle himself. And then Shankaracharya is like a normal. And then he said, what happens? He said, so then he said, Shankaracharya, you are drinking, but for me, in my mind, I am drinking water. So sometimes you come into that, in a junction of your life, you may have to eat or poison also. You may have to eat in rubbish also. But these are the people, their austerity, their mind power, the body, mind, and practice, they go beyond the food.
Mm.
So they can change that negativity into positivity also, like what Andrea was asking,
Mm.
and followed by the breathing technique, right? So food doesn't affect them. We
Mm.
become very delicate because we don't do tapascharya. We are living in this, so that's why for them it's outside. It actually, as you said, they eat fish or they eat chicken or whatever. It doesn't make a difference technically because they go beyond the gunas.
Mm.
But we don't go beyond the gunas. That's why we need to protect and we need to cook food or whatever. We try to best whatever we can do that.
Mm.
But ultimately, yeah, you go beyond this.
Mm.
That's what Agori do. Yeah, you have to see. Yeah, they eat more than this horrible thing. But it is interesting.